First at 4, ladies and gentlemen, I'm meteorologist Andrew Humphrey. Look at all the sunshine, and we are feeling the heat. Above 90 degrees again for today. How many more 90-degree days will we see? Got your complete holiday weekend forecast coming up.
All right, Andrew. Also first at 4, a group of pastors coming together to aid Kwame Kilpatrick's defense, why they say the former mayor deserves to get out of prison. The majority owner of the Washington Redskins has said he'll never change the team's name, but something has changed in the past 24 hours. All of this and more. First at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Jason Colthorpe. Karen is on vacation. First at 4, we know this 4th of July weekend won't be the same thanks to the coronavirus, but many of us still want to get outside safely. Let's start with a first look at our forecast. Andrew Humphreys in for Ben, and Andrew, off to a scorching start.
Oh, scorching, that is the weakest term that we can use. You're absolutely right. We're looking at temperatures that will easily make it above 90 degrees as we go through much of the weekend. We're already above 90. 94 at this hour over at Metro Airport. Flint is at 95. Closer to the big lakes, sure, upper 80s, but still very warm, not hot out there, with temperatures that are now at 94 degrees over at Metro Airport. Not only is it the heat, but it is also the humidity. When you have dew points that are in the mid-60s like where they are now, you're talking about a heat index of easily 97 degrees or even a bit higher depending on where you are. So as you head outdoors, make sure you drink plenty of water, wear light and loose fitting clothes. We will still have temperatures in the 90s when you start grilling this evening if you do, and upper 80s just shortly after dinner time. More on the complete holiday weekend forecast coming up, Jason.
All right, sounds good, Andrew. Thanks. Efforts to get former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick out of prison haven't gotten anywhere yet, but Ebony Magazine and a group of pastors are renewing the plea for his sentence to be commuted. Kilpatrick is serving a 28-year federal sentence. He was convicted in 2013 of crimes committed when he was mayor of Detroit. Critics say he betrayed the people here. Supporters, though, say that sentence is too long, and he's at risk for coronavirus, and several fellow prisoners have died. They're asking President Trump to intervene.
And we're calling on the president and all of those in power to reconsider this sentence made in the heat of a passion of an angry city to the detriment of a very young man who deserves and needs an opportunity to recycle his lives.
Here's a look at Kilpatrick's convictions. He was found guilty on 24 federal felony counts. The charges included mail fraud, wire fraud, and racketeering. He faced a total of 30 counts and was found not guilty on 3, and the jury couldn't reach a consensus on 3 more. He was ordered to pay more than $1.6 million in restitution. Well, call it spring training part 2, and it's underway at Comerica Park right now. Today, pitchers and catchers showed up for their first workouts. They face new coronavirus rules. They can't spit, they can't lick their hands, and they're supposed to socially distance from teammates. They have 3 weeks to get ready for a shortened 60-game season. Jamie Edmonds continues our coverage at 5 and 6 with why you shouldn't count these Tigers out when it comes to this shorter season. From baseball to 4th of July celebrations, COVID continues to impact just about every facet of our lives. Today, the state is reporting 460 new cases in Michigan in the past 24 hours. That's down from yesterday's 543, which was the single highest day number since the end of May. But today's number is also still higher than we've seen in weeks. 3 more people also died. Thankfully, that number, though, is down from yesterday. Governor Whitmer hoped to bring the state's reopening to phase 5 by now, but with the way things have gone, more businesses are not going to be reopening. She pumped the brakes this week on that. Many bars had to stop indoor service. Theaters and gyms also remain officially closed. Experts say determining how many people have died from COVID-19 is not as easy as it might seem. A new study finds the number of deaths in the early months of the pandemic may have been underestimated by nearly 30%. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge here now with a closer look.
Researchers looked at the total number of deaths between March 1st and May 30th of this year and compared that to the historical number of deaths in the same time frame. They found there were roughly 122,000 more deaths than expected. Now, a large portion of them, 95,000, were directly attributed to the diagnosis of COVID-19, leaving 27,000 excess deaths not clearly explained. Now here in Michigan, they identified 6,100 deaths above what should have been expected, with roughly 4,800 attributed to COVID-19, leaving over 1,200 additional deaths that were incompletely explained. Now the authors believe these additional deaths may have been from multiple sources like unrecognized and therefore uncounted COVID-19 infections, as well as medical conditions that were worsened by the pandemic due to less access to medical care. Now on that note, another newly published study, also in JAMA, looked at medical causes of death in 5 of the hardest hit states, including Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. Now during the COVID-19 peak in March and April, deaths from diabetes rose 96%. Heart disease deaths, 89%. Alzheimer's deaths rose 64%, and stroke deaths rose 35%. The authors actually suspect some of these deaths occurred among people unwilling to seek medical care because of their fear of the virus. Now, the important lesson for everyone as COVID cases continue to surge nationwide is chronic medical conditions will worsen if they aren't attended to, and emergencies, well, they're still emergencies even during a pandemic. Back to you.
All right, Doc, and those COVID fears are being felt across the country as we head into the holiday weekend. The nation set a new record Thursday with 53,000 new cases. The governor of Texas bowed to pressure and started requiring masks in counties with more than 20 reported cases. Many holiday traditions will be interrupted as beaches close from Florida to Texas and all the way to California. Many people hit up Half Moon Bay yesterday, rushing to get some beach time in. Over the holiday weekend, officers will be on patrol and visitors could face tickets if they break that ban. There are also concerns about a large crowd gathering at Mount Rushmore tonight. The president and first lady will leave the White House in about 45 minutes to head to that event. Organizers have given out 7,500 tickets. Visitors will have temperature checks and masks will be offered, but South Dakota's governor says people are not required to wear them and social distancing is not required either. The president will speak around 10 p.m. our time, followed by a fireworks display. There's a saying that necessity is the mother of invention, and that's proving to be true, very true, in the world of online teaching. Suddenly, teachers who never dreamed of doing so much remote instruction need new skills fast. Our Kim DeGiulio shows us a program designed to take online teaching to the next level.
As we all work to navigate through these uncertain times, one thing is certain. Online learning will continue to rise in popularity. And now universities are coming up with curriculums to help teachers teach online. Overnight, our educators were forced to turn their in-person lesson plans into an online course.
Teaching online is not something that we foresee, or at this point, most foresee going away anytime soon.
That's why Cleary University is launching a new degree program, MBA, in e-learning design and instructional technology management.
In the past, what we saw was taking the on-ground class and throwing it online somehow, right? We're just going to try to mimic it. That can't be done, right? Because it's an online learning experience. So it has to be designed uniquely for the online learning experience.
So things like creating online engaging learning environments, creating connection between students, between faculty, creating channels and resources to bring other people's voices to the forefront.
The president and CEO of Cleary University tells me this degree will be beneficial for teachers of any grade, and the material will be hands-on. The goal is to create a learning experience that's unique to online.
There's all of these pieces of how the world connects and how people learn and how we can adapt that for online learning and really create something brand new that you couldn't get in a classroom.
And while teachers learn to teach at home, parents will continue to learn how to let their kids learn at home too.
You got to let it be messy. I'm going to say that first because I'm a mom. The house is a wreck a lot of the time. You're homeschooling with your kids at home and they're going to be learning online. So what does that look like? It's going to be a little bit messy.
There is still time to sign up for this MBA course. If you're interested, you can find the link on our website at clickondetroit.com. Classes start at the end of August. I'm Kim DeGiulio, Local 4.
All right, Kim. And by the way, on average, it takes between 12 and 18 months to earn that new MBA. Still to come here on a Friday, a hot air balloon that could boldly go where no balloon has ever gone before. We'll talk about another space tourism offer in trending stories. But up first, a wildlife mystery in Africa. Investigators want to know what's killing hundreds of elephants, and there's another concern about what could happen next. And will the Washington Redskins finally change that nickname? What the team is doing today, next.